Wow, that's cool. All right. Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 326. Good afternoon, everybody. It works. If you were on the JP's morning brief this morning, I had a problem getting online, but it's good now, and everybody can see me, which is great. All right, so a lot to cover this afternoon. We're going to go over the Super Bowl and that great Turning Point USA concert. That was really cool, especially how they did the national anthem. That was awesome. But that and more, let's do this with the JP8 report. And so the day is the 9th of February. Can you believe it already? 7 more days until early voting starts here in Texas. I know some people are going to start crying on that part. All right, because not everybody can win. All right, so, hey, welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James, as usual. So if you're watching and you're not already a follower of the JP8 Report, please click that follow button. And then right next to it, where you see that thumbs up, that's a like. Give me a like. And please engage us in the chat. I'm here. I got retired Rob 53. He likes to go by Padres, so we'll say, hey, Padres or hall monitor, make sure everybody's being nice. But engage us, and if you, what did he put in? Oh, President Trump faces. So those are cool. So if you're watching right now, and I know there's 6 people in the live chat right now that's already started, and we just ramped up, put an American flag in the live chat for us to get us going, okay? So with the America 250, I got a few letters. They're not really long, but I need to make up for yesterday and today. All right. So 8th of February. General George Washington to Jonathan Trumbull Sr. Sir, last night I received intelligence on the arrival of some powder in your colony by the Shoup Macaroon. And the report is that she brought arms too. At my last letters from Philadelphia, do not promise me hopes of immediate supply of those necessaries. And as the exigency, I can't pronounce that word, exigency of this army in a particular crisis calls for much more than what we have, I must beg the favor of you to interest yourself that they may be sent to this camp as expeditiously as possible. If they belong to the colony, I will take them on the continent's account and pay for them, or replace the powder if that shall be thought more advisable. As soon as I have the opportunity of doing it, which I hope will not be long, if to private gentlemen, I shall be much obliged by your friendly exertions that I may have it. I should not have made this application. Did not the present state of matters call for all that can be collected, and have not the least doubt of your best endeavors for it being complied with. I am, sir, most esteemed and regard your most humble, obedient servant, George Washington. All right, so there's a debate on powder and guns, and he wants it. He doesn't know how to pay for it, and he's asking for advice. Okay, the next letter is a letter from George Washington to John Hancock. Remember, he's the president of the Second Continental Congress. Sir, I beg to inform you at the request of the Committee of Pay Table of the Colony of Connecticut that I have not advanced to any of the regiments from that government any money, except the sum of $7,172 and $1/9 and on the 20th November last to Major General Putman of the 34th Regiment under his command. I have paid them in the same manner I did the rest of the Army, had I not been prevented by the colonels, who expressed their inclination to receive the whole at once upon their return home from the expiration of service, as was customary in their colony. For as reason I never included them in my estimates of money and have no provision for their payment, always imagining that whatever payments the colony made them, Congress would apply to their credit in the general account against the United Colonies, or refund upon application. I have the honor to be with a great esteem and regard your most humble, observant servant, George Washington. Okay. Asking for advice about money. I had no idea how they did credit and stuff back in those days. All right, and one last letter from another letter from General George Washington to John Hancock on the 9th of February, 1776. Hold on just a second here. Sir, in compliance with the resolves of Congress, I have applied to General Howe for the exchange of Mr. Lovell. A copy of my letter and his answer hereto you have enclosed. Captain Waters and Captain Tucker, who command two of the armed schooners, have taken and sent unto Gloucester a large brigantine laden with wood, 150 butts for water, and 40 suits of bedding, bound from Lt Gov in Nova Scotia for Boston. She and one of the transports in a ministerial service. The captain says that he was at Halifax on the 17th of January and that General Massey was arrived there with 2 regiments from Ireland. The different prizes were all libeled immediately on receipt of the resolves of Congress pointing out the mode, but none of them yet brought to trial, owing to a difference between law passed in this province and the resolutions of Congress. The General Court are making an amendment to their law by which the difficulties that now occur will be removed. As I understand, it is made comfortable to your resolves. The unavoidable delay attending the bringing of the captures to trial is grievously complained of by the masters of these vessels as well as the captors. Many of the former have applied for liberty to go away without waiting the decision which I have granted them. I beg leave to recall the attention of Congress to their appointing a commissary in these parts to attend the providing of necessaries for the prisoners as who are dispersed in these provinces. Complaints are made by some of them, and they are in the wanting of bedding and other things. I understand that Mr. Franks has undertaken that business. I wish he was ordered to send a deputy immediately to see that the prisoners get what is allowed them by the Congress, also to supply the officers with money as they may have the occasion. It will save me much time and much trouble. There are yet but a few companies of militia come in. This delay will, I am much afraid, frustrate the intention of being called upon, as the season is slipping fast away, and they may be of service. The demands of the army were so very pressing that your last remittance came to hand that I was under the necessity of borrowing £25,000 lawful money from this province. They very cheerfully lent in and passed a vote for as much more if required. I have not repaid the sum borrowed, as I may stand in need of it, before the arrival of another supply which demands a commissary general, quartermaster general, and paying off their arrearages will very soon require. Your esteemed favor of the 29th Ultimo is just come to hand. It makes me very happy to find my conduct has met the appropriation of Congress. I am entirely of your opinion that should an accommodation take place, the terms will be severe or favorable in proportion to their ability to resist, and that we ought to be on a respectable footing to receive their armaments in the spring. But how far we shall provide with the means is a matter of profess know not to know. Under the present unhappy want, the arms, ammunition that I may add men, as our regiments are very incomplete. The recruiting goes on very slow, and will, I apprehend, be so more if other service the men receive a bounty and none is given here. I have tried every method I could think of to procure arms for our men. They really are not to be had in the governments belonging to the public, and if some method is not fallen upon in the southern governments to supply us, we shall be in a distressed situation for want of them. There are nearly 2,000 men now in the camps without firelocks. I have wrote to the Committee of New York this day, requesting them to send me those arms which were taken from the disaffected in that government. The Congress interesting themselves in this request would doubtless have a good effect. I have sent officers into the country with money to purchase arms in different towns. Some have returned and brought a few. Many are still out, and what their success will be, I cannot determine. I was in great hopes with the expenses resolved to be established between this place and Philadelphia. Would there now that thought have been fixed, it would, in my opinion, rather save than increase the expense, as many horses are destroyed by one man coming the whole way. It will certainly be more expeditious and safer than riding about the pass or private hands, which I am often under the necessity of doing. I am in great respect, sir, your most obedient, humble servant, George Washington. All right, so that's a third letter that I wrote, that I read today from our forefathers to other forefathers. All right, so arms, and men. That's, oh my goodness. It's amazing we made it through Yorktown, right? All right, so that's America 250. Onward to the Dalmatian. We got Dalmatian Texas burgers. Now I'm hungry. Okay, these guys make smash burgers and dogs right here in Copper's Cove. All their ingredients are homemade, including their buns. They're located in Copper's Cove on the west side on 190 behind Bush's Chicken, and they're open today from 11 to 2, so they're open right now. So Monday through Saturday, 11 to 2, and then Tuesday through Saturday, 5:30 to 7, unless they're sold out. Look, I tried going there on Friday, and I tried going there on Saturday. And both days before their closing time, in the mid-morning, they were already sold out. They had a huge rush going there and just bought out everything. So I had to starve this weekend, people. All right, so here we go. So onward to the JP8 report. How many people here watched the Super Bowl? I mean, we only watched some of it because we were in church yesterday, and we didn't get home till after halftime. They were like 3-4 minutes into the third quarter. We were watching that part because there was nothing else on TV. Go figure, right? So we put it on there, and it was 9-0 when we started watching, and the final score was 29-13. Seattle won their second Super Bowl. They last won it 12 years ago, which would have been 2014. All right. So the big thing, mainly the Super Bowl was boring. All right. Just like everyone said, the whole thing was boring. They have no idea. They're out of their concept now. It used to be Super Bowl Sunday was a celebration, not no more. So the NFL had, as Dan Bongino called him today, Sad Bunny. Okay, I like that one. That was cool. But for their halftime show. So in the I don't have my phone with me. So Turning Point USA 2 months ago, they said when they saw who was going to perform at the Super Bowl during halftime, they developed their All-American Alternative halftime show. All right, and it starred Kid Rock, and it starred Lee Brice, and it starred Brantley Gilbert, and the other person that was in there was, I can't think of her name. Hold on just a second. I want to give her credit because she's singing really good. Oh, Gabby Barrett. All right. So it was dedicated to Charlie Kirk. Jack Posobiec came out first, and he said, "This one's for you, Charlie." And then went right into the national anthem. All right. Awesome. There were no vocals in the national anthem. It was all guitar. Right. The guitar was talking. That's how good these guys were. I think it was Dan Bongino or another podcaster said that during the Super Bowl halftime show, 22% of the viewership watched the alternative one for TPUSA. All right, that would be 10 million people watched it live between YouTube and Rumble and other social media platforms, and then another 25 million watched it video on demand. My family, me, and my wife, we were. Also, I'm letting you know in advance that I have. Okay, cool. That was an important text message. So me and my wife and daughter, we actually watched. We were one of the 25 million people that watched it video on demand. So we watched the rest of the Super Bowl, and then we came in right after that. We started and we watched the rest of the. I put on Rumble, put on Turning Point USA or the Charlie Kirk show, channel one of the two, and we watched the entire halftime show, and it was awesome. The Bryce had a song. Kid Richie had a new song that he had given to Cody Johnson about 5 years ago, and he brought it back. He CC'd him, right? But he actually wrote another verse to the song. The song it's already out on for download. Till You Can't is the name of the song. And it was a very beautiful song that he was singing there. It was the last song on the sets that before they went back to the Super Bowl, right? And Andrew Kovac said they are going to do the same thing again next year. So instead of 2 months of planning and execution, they're going to have a whole year to get everything arranged to make that so they can actually perform a even better event than they did this year. So that'd be hard to compare to, but if they say they're going to make it better than last year. But one thing you got to remember before I read a couple of these articles right here, right, is that the fact that during the halftime show, they show a lot of the commercials and stuff, right? How much market share did the NFL lose in advertising to Turning Point USA? Because they said they lost 22% of their viewership to Turning Point. These advertisers depend on that demographic to sell their products, and they spend millions of dollars for a 30-second commercial. So, like these other guys were saying this morning, Roger Goodell and the board of directors for the NFL, the owners, are going to have to come to a very hard decision to make. Are they going to temper out their really radical halftime shows and go back to normal entertainment and include everybody? Or are they going to lose even more market share to these social media platforms? Because a lot of people use social media for entertainment now. And, if Turning Point could execute this, what would keep Paramount Plus from executing it, right? Or Peacock, or these other platforms like Facebook and them, and draw even more audience away from the networks that are actually producing the NFL, right? The Super Bowl. So let's go. We're going to do this one first. Let me get a drink of water real quick. Okay. New York Post. TPUSA's All-American Alternative Halftime Show draws millions of viewers to rival NFL Super Bowl. This one's for you. I love that quote. Millions tuned in to Turning Point USA's All-American Halftime Show headlined by Kid Rock, Robert Ritchie, to be held in honor of its slain founder Charlie Kirk, which was streamed as a rival to the Super Bowl halftime show featuring Spanish-speaking singer Bad Bunny. The conservative nonprofit hour-long spectacle, which started minutes before the Super Bowl halftime show, was backed by Trump administration and scores of conservative hubs that cross-aired the performance. That's why those numbers may be lower than what it actually is. Turning Point scrambled to organize a rival halftime concert in October after Bad Bunny remarked that anyone peeved at his selection as Super Bowl headliner had 4 months to learn Spanish and understand his music. The alternative show was a celebration of USA with lyrics including blue-collar workers in red, white, and blue, as well as the late Kirk. This one's for you, Charlie. Jack Posobiec, the TPUSA host, said at the start of the show, country musicians Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Baird all performed at the show, flanked by TPUSA's signature pyrotechnics. More than 5 million viewers tuned in to TPUSA's YouTube live stream at one point during the performance. Kid Rock opened with a rousing rendition to America the Beautiful on an electric guitar. And this was followed by Gilbert. I thought Brantley Gilbert's band played America the Beautiful, but I could be wrong. Barrett followed with their hit song I Hope, and swapping with Bryce, who performed Drinking Last and Cry. Kid Rock finally graced the stage after a half hour, and the actual Super Bowl halftime show TPUSA was seeking to compete with had already concluded by then. He launched a soft rendition of Cody Johnson's Till You Can't, while attendees waved their light wristbands in the air, mimicking flashlights. And the performance concluded about 9 p.m. with the memoriam to Kirk. And Kirk regularly spent his Super Bowl Sundays weighing in on the halftime show, in part because he recognized it was a core way to win the culture, and his close friend told the Post last week. And the Super Bowl show was slammed by President Trump minutes later. The Super Bowl halftime show was completely horrible. He's talking about the actual one in Santa Clara, California. All right. So that was from the New York Post. And this one is a short one from Fox News. Turning Point USA spokesman Andrew Covett announced the organization plans to stage another alternative Super Bowl halftime show next year, calling the inaugural effort a massive success and citing at least 20 million views across social media platforms as data continues to roll in. Okay, this one was printed off earlier today, and the other one was printed off yesterday evening. COVID broke the news on One Nation with Brian Kilmeade Sunday night and predicted that 20 million views would rise to 40 or 50 over the next 24 hours. So I can tell you that's a shot across the bow. People are paying attention, and if you give us a year to plan this thing, I'm really excited to see what we can pull off. We gotta do it for the country, and this is a massive effort, and we're grateful to do it. TPUSA's All-American Halftime Show featured Kid Rock, Brandon Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Barrett. It's streamed on YouTube at the same time as the NFL Halftime Show, starring, as Dan Bongino calls him, Sad Bunny. The organization also paid tribute to Charlie Kirk during the halftime alternative, and the tribute took place as Kid Rock finished up a song in remembrance of Charlie Kirk, showcasing Kirk's wife Erica and their children. Covett said Kirk had strong opinions about the halftime show. He wanted to lift up the best ideals of our country as opposed to pulling us down or being the kind of the lowest common denominator. He wanted to lift us up higher. He wanted to be about being our highest ideas. Colbert called the performance good music for Americans and people that wanted to feel proud about their country and wanted to love their country, love their God, and love some great music. Sad Bunny's halftime show drew criticism from Donald Trump, the boxer Jake Paul, in part because he performed it almost entirely in Spanish. Others, including country artist Casey Musgraves, criticized TPUSA's show and praised Bad Bunny's performance. Casey Musgraves, she's a flaming little, like Graham Allen was saying a couple months ago. If you didn't know, if you thought that the vast majority of country artists are staunch conservatives, country-loving, patriotic, flag-waving, saluting people, no, they're not. It's the exact opposite. And he named like 5 people and said these are about the only ones you could depend on, like Cody Johnson, Kid Rock, people like that. I know George Strait's a conservative, but there's very, very few out there. So don't get your hopes up if you run into a country singer and like, hey, look at that, he's MAGA. No, he's not. John Rich is another one. He owns Old Glory Bank. Okay, so I can't wait for next year. Hopefully my Dallas Cowboys are in it. I ain't holding my breath. But so far we're halfway through. We got a few people that are on board right now. If you like what I was just talking about with Turning Point and the Super Bowl, give me an American flag in the live chat. I will do it also. Let me put one in there and send. Hey, there's mine. All right, follow suit. Come on, people. Give us some action in here. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is the president won a court case in New Orleans on the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. It is the 2-1 ruling in favor of him. It was dealing with, illegal immigration, on whether the Trump administration can deny bond for an illegal alien that is under arrest. And the Circuit Court of Appeals said that the Department of Homeland Security can lawfully deny bond hearings to immigrants arrested nationwide under the Constitution and federal immigration law. Attorney General Pam Bondi reacted to the ruling, saying DOJ secured yet another crucial legal victory in support of the President Trump's immigration agenda. The Fifth Circuit has just held illegal aliens can rightfully be detained without bond, a significant blow against activist judges who have been undermining their efforts to make America safe again at every turn, she wrote on X. Thank you to Ben Hayes, who argued this case, Bryn Shumati, and the DOJ Civil Division. We will continue vindicating President Trump's law and order agenda in courtrooms across the country. Circuit Judge Edith H. Jones wrote in the majority opinion that unadmitted aliens apprehended anywhere in the United States are eligible for release on bond, regardless, or ineligible. Whoo! Okay. Unadmitted aliens apprehended anywhere in the United States are ineligible for release on bond, regardless how long they have resided in the United States. All right. So that was a big win for the president. And so, they're already illegal and they're unaccounted for and they fled unauthorized. So if they release them from jail proceedings, what's to stop them from leaving Coppersville, Texas, and going to San Diego, right? So that's why they're going to stay in jail. All right. Good job, Mr. President. All righty. So on our next one is we're going to talk about a series of 3 articles I got going on here. Is SAVE Act. Okay. This is from the Federalist. And then I have a response from Hakeem Jeffries and from Adam Schiff. Okay. Right. The SAVE Act is a proposal. Hold on. Put that back over there. The SAVE Act is a proposal from congressional Republicans to require people to provide proof of citizenship when registering to vote. Critics of this bill, which passed the House last week with unanimous, and this article is written in April 16th, okay? Almost a year ago, but it still pertains. Unanimous Republican support and almost no Democrat support have attempted in recent weeks to portray it as an out-of-mainstream proposal which will leave countless Americans disenfranchised. Proponents argue that the SAVE Act is a common-sense proposal that Americans of all political stripes should have no problem backing. The Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, or SAVE, aims to ensure that eligible American citizens and only eligible American citizens appear on the country's voter registration list. To accomplish this, the SAVE Act would require that proof of citizenship be provided when voters register to vote. The SAVE Act contains other significant election integrity provisions as well, such as establishing the right of action to allow citizens to sue election officials who fail to comply with proof of citizenship requirements. While the SAVE Act passed the House last year, it was never brought to the floor of the U.S. Senate for a vote in 2024, thanks to John Thune. Since federal law already prohibits non-citizens from voting in federal elections, one might assume that there would be bipartisan agreement in favor of the SAVE Act and its provisions ensuring only citizens are able to register to vote. The SAVE Act, however, has generated white-hot opposition from congressional Democrats and others on the left. One attack made by SAVE Act critics is that the bill usurps state authority over elections. This is a similar attack leveled by many on the left against President Trump's recent executive orders on elections and election integrity. The act is a bit hypocritical since Democrats have been championing the For the People Act since Democrats retook the House in 2019. This proposal, if enacted in law, would have been the largest single federal takeover. Hold on. Okay. The proposal, this is the 2019, would be the largest single federal takeover election in the history of the country. Among other things, would require all states to do same-day voter registration, establish a public campaign finance match for congressional candidates, establish a cap of how much national party committees can spend on presidential candidates, and force states to conduct congressional redistricting through independent redistricting commissions. That is definitely Democrat ideas. While the states are primarily responsible for administering federal elections, the Constitution explicitly gives Congress a role too. Article 1, Section 4 of the United States Constitution states, the times, places, and manners of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. But the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations except as to the places of the choosing senators. Because nowadays senators are chosen by the public and not the state legislators. Congress has been more than willing to exercise its authority in recent decades. In 1993, Congress exercised authority under Article 1, Section 4 to enable national voter registration. That was the first bill signed into law by Bill Clinton. It was strongly backed by Democrats across the country. And in the very next election cycle, they totally lost the entire legislature, the entire Congress. In 2002, Congress again exercised Article 1, Section 4, powers to help enact Help America Vote Act. It's called HAVA. It was signed by George W. Bush and received overwhelming bipartisan support of Congress, 357-48 and 92-2. And then a few years later, again, Article 1, Section 4, powers enacted Military and Overseas Voters Empowerment Act, which is called MOVE. I used to use that a lot. The MOVE Act was signed by President Obama, and it was bipartisan. It just keeps going. Okay? The only thing it doesn't mention in here is what do you call ranked choice voting, but I think that's in the actual SAVE Act, and that needs to stay in the SAVE Act and be passed. Because in my opinion, I believe that it's unconstitutional to use. All right? So that's a quick article on the SAVE Act from the Federation. Federalist Papers. All right, so Hakeem Jeffries was on TV. What time is it? 12:40. Okay. So Hakeem Jeffries was on TV and they asked him about voter ID. So he was pressed on CNN, not the most conservative news outlet, right? Don't hold your breath on that either, as to why he considered voter ID legislation to be voter suppression despite Democratic victories in states that enforce laws. Okay, State of the Union host Dana Bash asked Jeffries about the Democrat Party's opposition to Safeguarding America Voter Eligibility Act, which would require people to present photo ID before voting, despite mass support from members of both parties of voter ID laws. Jeffries insisted that even states like New York already have voter identification requirements and claimed the SAVE Act was an attempt by Republican Party to rig elections. 83% of the people that were polled, 83%, not 83% of Republicans, but they're talking about everyone, supported using photo ID for voting. That's not a 50-50 split. That's veto-proof supermajority approval, right? But like these Democrats, if it comes from Trump, nobody wants to support it. That's they're going. Jeffries insisted. Okay, I got that part. The question is that what Republicans are trying to do is to engage in clear and blatant voter suppression. They know that there is a free and fair election in November. They're going to lose. He doesn't know that, unless he's playing the cheat. In fact, Republicans have been losing every single election since Donald Trump was sworn in January of last year, most recently decisively in Texas, and of course losing all across the country, up and down ballot in November. I guess he's in a pipe dream story that he fell asleep listening to. I mean, Virginia is a good example. They have a requirement to show your ID, and the Democrats won very handily across the way. So people may not just take that off the table and say, okay, maybe not a passport or birth certificate, but show ID. You know, when you talk about the Democratic People's Republic of Virginia, they were stooped. They were lied to. They were deceived. There should have been no reason why Abigail Spanberger won that election, because the free people of Virginia don't understand what they just voted for, but they're finding out pretty quickly what it is. And it's a communistic type manifesto type environment that take total control of their government. So that's that. And then the next one was Shifty Schiff, okay? The guy that should not be a U.S. senator because he's loose-lipped, sinks ships. So Adam Schiff was confronted by a poll that found a majority of Americans support requiring photo ID, which the liberal senator said would disenfranchise voters. ABC's Jonathan Karl began to ask Schiff about whether Democrats or Republicans could reach a compromise on supporting showing photo ID when voting. As Republicans are pushing for SAFE, some Democrats are comparing the SAVE Act with Jim Crow 2.0. Democrats always bring out the Democratic legislation that's made people subservient for decades back in the past. And he's not even from the South. He's from California. Jonathan, what you've just asked is essentially, Republicans have created distrust in elections by claiming making claims of non-existent fraud in the elections, and we should not use the distrust it created in order to enact voter suppression law, which the SAVE Act is, which would require people to have a birth certificate or a passport, documents that millions of Americans don't have. Almost half the country doesn't have a passport, and I don't know if there are many millions of people that would be able to find a birth certificate. That's crazy, because every county courthouse is required to maintain those vital statistics. And then Carl said he was asking Schiff a different question, specifically how he would support voter ID. But I was asking a different question, photo ID, because as you know, let's show there's a recent poll that there's been a lot of polls on this. But this one recent Pew poll, 83%, which I just told you about with Hakeem Jeffries, of adults support requiring photo ID to vote. 71% of Democrats favor requiring, and 95% of Republicans favor requiring it. And if not, why? And Schiff argued that it would still disenfranchise people. You can't win. Can't win. If Barack Obama was president, they would have supported it. Definitely. How many years till Schiff has to run for re-election? Man. All right. So if you support the SAVE Act, leave me a comment. And also put something in the chat saying you actually heard me talking about the SAVE Act, which is a very good act for our country. It's one of those laws that needed to be on the books in the first place. So if you're listening, please put something in the chat. I know it goes away at the end of the podcast, but leave something in there, okay? And leave me a comment if you support the SAVE Act and would like to see John Thune bring it to the Senate floor. All right. Now back to Texas. So here in Texas, should I do Texas or should I go back to New York? You know what? I'm going to go to New York. So anything I don't finish up this afternoon, I'm going to roll it over for the morning brief in the morning. So don't fret, okay? Okay, Kathy Hochul, she's the governor of New York. Her running mate used to be on the New York City Council. Her running mate's name is Adrienne Adams. She lost a race for mayor. That's what it was. New York, Kathy Hochul's running mate, former New York City Council member Adrienne Adams, voted in favor of allowing some non-citizens to vote in Big Apple municipal elections. Adams voted for the measure by the City Council in late 2021 that would allow lawful permanent residents and individuals authorized to work in the country to vote in the country's city's municipal elections. The measure ultimately struck down by Empire State's highest court, according to New York Post. The outlet reported that GOP Representative Nicole Malliotakis asserted anyone trying to dilute the voice of American citizens and punishing non-citizens to vote in our elections has no business statewide or any political office. Hochul wrote Adams as her running mate last week. That's when it was announced. That would run contrary to the election. I mean, I don't care if it's a federal election or a state election. Unless you're a U.S. citizen, you should not be voting in our elections itself. It dilutes the process of voting both liberals and conservatives. We're at 12:50. Okay, we're doing pretty good. Let's hold off on those ones. Okay, so I'm going to go over to Texas scorecard. Texas will fight radical Islam every step of the way. That's per Governor Greg Abbott. This was an article written by Brandon Waltons. Governor Greg Abbott says Texas is moving aggressively to block the expansion of radical Islamic organizations, restrict the use of H-1B visas by state entities, and ensure illegal border crossings remain at historic lows, regardless of who occupies the White House in the future. In an interview with the Texas Scorecard, Abbott recently said recent actions by Democrat-run cities and school districts underscore why the state has stepped in to confront he has designated as foreign travel organizations. Hold on just a second here. I'm drying up. Alrighty. Don't forget to like the podcast. Like and follow, please. The Democrats are being tone deaf, which I think some people are, to the dangers posed by these foreign terrorist organizations. Abbott said, pointing specifically to the city of Austin's recent decision to recognize the Council of American Islamic Relations. Abbott said his administration's involvement began after investigations on the proposed Epic City, that's the East Plano Islamic Center, all right, and described the widespread legal violations and attempts to establish an Islamic-only community and action prohibited under Texas law. Through that process, Abbott said that the state uncovered CARE's involvement in expanding similar efforts in Texas. That is one of the things that led to what I documented in my proclamation saying CARE is a foreign terrorist organization and must be banned from the state of Texas. The governor also warned school districts against hosting CARE-sponsored events, which we saw 2 of them last week, saying taxpayer-funded schools should not partner with organizations he claims has provided material support to terrorists. Our schools are not here to sponsor terrorist organizations, Abbott said, adding that the state will fight this step every step of the way. On immigration, Trump defended his decision to freeze the use of H-1B visas by state agencies and public universities until at least the next legislative session. While the visa program is federally administered, Abbott and Texans can prevent taxpayer dollars from being used used to hire foreign workers than qualified Texan availability. We wanted to make sure that our universities and schools and any other government agency in the state of Texas is not using taxpayer dollars to give a visa to someone foreign, and then we can have Texans who could be performing the same job. All right. While acknowledging that what the program has is limitations served its original purpose. Abbott cited Elon Musk as an example. The governor said Washington has has allowed the system to drift from its intent. It's been turned into a chaotic program that has taken away from Texans and businesses and from Americans. Abbott also touted the border controlled, that the continued border enforcement under the Operation Lone Star, noting that thousands of National Guard soldiers can be deployed and are now working in direct coordination with federal authorities to detain and deport illegal immigrants. All right. To that end, Abbott pointed to SB4, Senate Bill 4, the immigration enforcement law he signed after the 2023 session, which employs state and local law enforcement to arrest or deport individuals who across the country who cross the border illegally. Finally, Abbott defended his proposal at the certain statewide prosecutor to address what he described as prosecutorial malpractice by certain local district attorneys who refused to obey the law. What we have to do is fix the problem that exists, Abbott said, citing cases in which violent offenders were released and indictments were not timely pursued. We have to stop dangerous criminals from being blessed at work back to the streets. All right. And we'll do that one. Let's see, like this one, we're pretty much out of time. Oh, that was too long. Okay, we're going to have to wait till tomorrow morning on those ones. All right. So what we have going on right now is we have voting dates coming up really hot and heavy. Tonight we have a forum at 6 o'clock at the Gatesville Civic Center in Gatesville, Texas. All Republicans have been invited to go to it. And then the 17th, which is 1 week from the day, early vote starts here in Texas, and it goes through the 27th. And then primary day is on March 3rd, Tuesday, March 3rd. And then if there's a runoff, it'll be the 26th of May for that runoff. All right? And then we're about to stop advertising. I'm going to finish up with this throughout the rest of this week. And then I'm going to stop talking about it because it will be too close for people to come out. But y'all need to come on out to this event that I'm about to show y'all. Might as well go back over to it. It's February 21st in the middle, early voting. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's going to come out. The seats are $60 a couple or $50 for. Wait a minute, it's $60 for a single ticket and $100 for couples tickets. Sorry about that. And then we have a variety of tables you can choose if you want to sit closer to the Lieutenant Governor. If you buy your tickets, you can scan that QR code that's on the bottom left-hand corner, or in the show notes at the bottom, there's a link. You can click it and go to where you can purchase all your tickets online. And that would be greatly appreciated. Mr. Mitchell would love to see this closed out. We can only put like 200 people in this facility. It'd be really nice if we had 180, 195 people there. Okay? Alrighty. So we got that. I didn't get those ones done. Alrighty. So, well, it's 1 o'clock. I'm out of time. Man, the day went fast, didn't it? I didn't get to talk about Jasmine Crockett, but I will. I will. All right. We had a forum on Saturday. It went pretty good. It went really good. It's 3 hours and 19 minutes. I recorded it on my phone, and I tried to put it on my computer, then to upload it on Rumble. I failed. I had to take my signal cord pins and pass them up. But then I got them back, but it stripped out the sound. Lucky enough, I uploaded the whole thing to YouTube, so I got access to it. So I actually took the link and copied and pasted it in Facebook and spread it out like that. All right. I got some other plans for it tonight. So, why am I talking without y'all seeing me? That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, Rob didn't even tell me. That's crazy. I'm so sorry, people. Okay. So, like I said, it's 101 now, and you can see my face. All right, so if you want to contact me, I'm on Facebook at James A. Pierce Jr. I'm on X at James Pierce Jr. And I'm on ScrewTube at the JP8 Report 67. True Social, James A. Pierce. My email is jp8report@gmail.com. All right, so you can see my face again. One last chance before we take off. If you are actually watching right now, and I know people float in and out, but give me an American flag before I start the sign off. Nope. I'm looking on Fox News right now. Retired FBI agent reveals word Savannah Guthrie used in video plea that stood out to me immediately. I'm going to click on this before I let y'all go. Okay. Isn't this crazy? All right, so says the word celebrate that Savannah Guthrie used in the family's latest video plea to whomever kidnapped her mother, Nancy Guthrie, was intentional and may have been instrumental in a peaceful negotiation for the return of the missing 84-year-old. Retired FBI agent Jason Pack told Fox News Digital on Monday, Savannah Guthrie made the plea in a video in the family posted on Instagram on Saturday. We beg you. Okay, we all know what she said. New York Post, hold on. Nancy Guthrie's $6 million Bitcoin ransom demand still unpaid with deadline just hours away. So they still haven't paid the ransom. The word celebrate stood out to me immediately. Savannah didn't say surrender her or give her back. She said return her so we can celebrate. That's the language or resolution to confront in any negotiation. You want to offer the other party a way to see an end to peace, positively, peacefully for them too. That's exactly what the family is doing. Anything else? I don't know. So what do y'all think about that? That's crazy. That is crazy. All right, so we're gonna let go. I gotta get ready for this other forum, and I gotta go to our recycle center and drop off some cardboard too. All right. So this is James Pierce with the JP8 report. I'll catch you on the flip side at 6:30 tomorrow morning Central on the JP's morning brief. But this is James Pierce signing off with the JP8 report. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm out.